Yeah, so we're already rolling in towards the base of it. There is Gavazzi in that Mountains jersey. I have to say, it's one of the only things I don't like about this race, because I love so much about the Gran Camino. That Mountains jersey needs changing because it blends in so much, doesn't it? A dark blue. That's my only tip to the race organiser. I think come up with something a little bit sharper for that Mountains jersey, because I love my Mountains classifications. You can see the hills in the distance, Ian, and I think you can see where the fire had been raging last year. This is one of the towns which had escaped it, but if you look beyond that shot, as we look to sort of pan up or tilt up and look beyond where the riders are right now, still a very heavily scorched surrounding hillside here after those really bad fires last August. Cofidis driving hard through the middle. This is a really big dig. Kern Farmer are giving it a right go as well on the right-hand side of our shot there in the dark green colours. And we're inside the last 10 kilometres of this, the third road stage of 4 in total of this Gran Camino. My name's Jez Cox. I'm alongside Ian Field. And these, as I say, are the last 10k now that things are all back together. Jumbo-Visma have proven themselves to be the strongest team in this race so far. And yesterday at the finish, Jonas Vingegaard proved to be head and shoulders above everyone else up the final climb of Monte Trega. Can he do it again today? There he is in the race leader's jersey, that yellow jersey. As Ian said, no arm warmers, no leg warmers now, and a long turn being done to get him into position. This is Rowan Dennis who's doing it again.
Yeah, he's still got Valter behind him as well, protecting that wheel from behind as such, as we're seeing pace really ramping up now. They know these crucial points on course that they want to be leading, or at least in the top 5, top 10 kind of riders. So we've seen them drop down through this corner as it really lines out and really reducing who's going to go to this final climb.
They snake their way around a little bit as well on this final climb. It's not entirely straight. It has a few switchbacks to it. In fact, as they get towards the base of it, they go hard left on themselves and round a very tight right-hander as well. So there's a couple of technical elements to this. And then a few switchbacks. 1, 2, 3 quite tight turns before it really steepens. It's actually around a sweeping left-hander that it steepens to above 20% coming towards the line. It levels a little bit more and then goes a bit flatter. There is a plateau over the top where it levels right out, but only just after that very, very tight sweeping left-hander. Cofidis looking over their shoulders here a little bit to make sure they've got people in the right position. It'd be handy for us, Ian, to see who's at the back of that Cofidis line. I wonder if it is still Simon Geschke. I'm not sure it is, actually. I think it might be the taller figure of the former Spanish champion, Jesus Herrada.
Should get a good idea of who's at the back if they zoom out ever so slightly, give us a bigger shot. But thinking about the final climb and the wind direction, they should have, in general, a tailwind, but they do turn approximately halfway up for a short section of headwind before it kicks really steep, and they should have a tailwind then more or less all the way to the top, and then when it plateaus it'll be a crosswind from the left hand side of the road. So it should suit the pure climbers, it should suit an attacking climb with that tailwind, as we're seeing right now, everyone going all in towards the base of this final climb.
And Trinity are right there as well with 2 of their riders. Max Walker is the tall figure on the inside of the shot there with that pink seat post and the psychedelic new Trinity jersey. The 21-year-old Brit right up there in the midst of things. There's 2 or 3 more Trinity riders there as well. So the youngest team in the race with an average age of just over 20 years of age, again placing themselves really nicely.
Yeah, you see the white jersey just underneath. He's wearing a gilet at the moment with those Trinity colours. But yeah, white jersey's well up there right now.
That is Lucas Naruka, the young Brit. Yeah, with the white sleeves on, with that Trinity gilet. He'll need to pull that one up to make sure his numbers can be seen coming to the line as well, if he's to place highly up. But after yesterday's performance, I suspect he will, because he's nicely placed there on the wheel of Max Walker.
Doing a good job now, holding that kind of 10th to 15th position is a good place to be. Obviously very difficult to go up the firepower of Rowan Dennis or the Movistar Cofidis line, but holding that kind of next group along with Q36.5 in a good position right now. Just need to hold it on this slight downhill section before that final 3.7 kilometres up to the finish line.
I will remind viewers there are 10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds available on this finish line, as well as any gaps which will open up, I'm certain, between the leading riders. And all of those time bonuses, all those seconds, will be carried forward to tomorrow's 18-kilometre time trial between Novo Miadouro and Santiago de Compostela. 18 kilometres tomorrow to bring home the general classification. Movistar in the middle. Eolo Cometa sitting in behind them with Lorenzo Fortunato ready to improve on his top 10 place yesterday. But they all know the battle they've got on their hands is with Jumbo-Visma.
Interesting Vingegaard riding that second wheel. Like I said previously, the further back in that train you go, suddenly you're in that mixer and fighting for position a lot more. So looks like he prefers to stay ahead with 2 teammates behind him. I'm sure they'll come round to do their turns on that final climb if necessary. But yeah, he just wants to be a little bit further forward, not fighting for position, not in that mixer that you see kind of 15 riders back. I see Ryan Dennis there getting rather close to the Movistar rider. But yeah, Vingegaard right up the front, staying out of trouble.
If you want any man on the front of a peloton to really be stringing things down, it's Rowan Dennis. Not only is he one of the best time trialists in the last 15 years as a pro, he's such a strong ruler, such a strong all-rounder and a great workhorse for the team, which is why, of course, he has moved across to Jumbo-Visma to do exactly this for Jonas Vingegaard, and I'm sure we'll see him, I suspect, at the Tour de France this year doing likewise. A great opportunity for them as they take a really tight right-hander into a very, very narrow section. I'm not sure the riders knew that was quite as tight as that, because you could have seen a bit more of a stringy out coming into there, and that's a really technical one, Ian.
I think not only the fact that it's so tight, the fact it goes into such a narrow road afterwards, but on the previous sweeping left-hand corner, Dennis took it so quickly as we looked like we're going for a farmyard. Wow. Dennis took it so quickly that he's actually distanced the other 2 Jumbo-Visma riders. Wouters fallen way back, so it is just Dennis and Vingegaard left for Jumbo-Visma at the front of this race as we're on a kind of kart track right now.
Yep. But it is Gran Camino, the great road or the great trail effectively that they're following through Galicia, and we've seen every different kind of road so far this week. From those covered in snow to those we're seeing right now, it is very much like a dirt track, isn't it? Movistar moving up the outside. JJ Rocas has been trying to keep Ruben Guerrero in good position, but the Movistar boys have been split up a little bit here they're dropping down in amongst the Cofidis riders here. Once again, still, so Rowan Dennis is done. It's going to be left to Jonas Vingegaard to battle this out over the last 3 kilometres. 3k to go. 4k to go according to that banner. Well, I'm seeing all sorts of different things according to our screen here. We'll go with what it says on the road. 4k to go, and Attila Valter, the Hungarian champion, is back at the front. Here we go. He picks up the reins.
He's made a big effort to get back to the front of this bike race because he had been shuffled back in the pack before those sweeping turns of that final really tight right-hander. But as we say, this climb kicks up immediately and straight away. This is lined out, and it's Valter on the front, Vingegaard, and then the Movistar Cofidis bringing up the rest. As we see, Max Walker's still up there for the Trinity races. Simon Geschke's finally dropping back. Should plateau ever so slightly in a minute before it kicks up again.
Ruben Guerrero, my pick for the day, is looking good with the number 1 on his back, the Movistar rider. Fresh from his mountaintop finish at the Sky Views of Harat Uruid in the Saudi Tour and his general classification win, but he knows he's sitting on the back wheel of the yellow jersey and the defending yellow jersey from the Tour de France, who looked so good yesterday. Despite that stinging attack, he looked so calm, and the fact that he was looking over his shoulder all the time was just indicative of his thoughts. Naruka has made this leading group as well. The young Brit, who's the best young rider in this race overall, has made this move. There's one Movistar rider dripping off the back, so that leaves just Naruka up there alongside Ruben Guerrero, our race leader Jonas Vingegaard, and a big power of work being done by Attila Valter here.
Jean Izagirre in there as well, as you see gaps just appearing ever so slightly. Valter, such a strong climber.
Yeah, he has been so useful to that team since joining them, of course, the Hungarian. Breaking onto our scenes in wearing the pink jersey in the Giro, of course. He's such a strong climber. You can see exactly why Jumbo-Visma would want him. and setting a brutal pace here at the front. Jefferson Cepeda has missed it after all the work being done by Caja Royal today. Jefferson Cepeda hasn't just been dropped from this group, he's having to jump round riders who have been dropped. He was a little bit too far back there and he's trying to come across. Naruka now getting distance as well, the Brit for Trinity Racing. This is a very select leading group. Yonis Aguirre on the back of it, Ruben Guerrero out of the saddle, and we are, I think, Ian, just really waiting for the moment when Jonas Vingegaard decides to be dispatched, because this is the last turn. We saw his teammate Johannes Stone and Mitte doing this yesterday, and today it is the Hungarian's turn to be the last lead-out man for Jonas Vingegaard in that yellow jersey. Just 4 riders left at the front now.
Here we see him take one of those tight turns, and they should kick back into a headwind for a short distance on this line. We saw the speed of them going up those early slopes with that tailwind. Everyone else distance now, just this group of 4. Obviously Wouter's going to kind of peel off. I would have thought he'd try and do this headwind section, keep Vingegaard behind for this section, and as soon as it steepens up and they get that tailwind again, I'm pretty sure Vingegaard is probably going to go all in once again like he did yesterday.
Lucas Naruka has been dropped from this group. He was the last rider to be dropped, so he's somewhere back there in around about 5th place. This is Attila Valter giving this absolutely everything, the Hungarian champion, and it's everything, of course, for the race leader. An opportunity for Jonas Vingegaard to take some more time today. Don't forget there's 10 seconds bonus on the line as well, 10, 6 and 4 on the line, but the stage win too around this very technical finale. It's been a much more twisting and technical road than maybe we'd anticipated on this final climb up to the Alto de Castello today, and they have not yet, Ian, got to the very steepest part, because they've got a right ramp coming up where it goes above 20%. That could be the sorting out of this leading group.
Very much so. This is one of those steeper ramps, and I think they're going to do a sharp left in a minute and pick up that tailwind, and I'd have thought that's where it really goes steep and Vingegaard is going to launch one of his vicious attacks.
Yeah, they take a left-hander, as you say. It's at that left-hander, then it really kicks up, and that's really the last push before a gradual drag and a flattening out before the line itself, which is in a straight line. Sitting right on the back there, Jonis Aguirre, the Cofidis rider, looks quite comfortable, actually. What has Ruben Guerrero got left? And this is coming towards the, should be the final. No, you know what? That might be the 2K to go marker, Ian, actually, because I think our ticker is a little bit ahead of ourselves here. Attila Valter, I'm not sure, has got too much left. Let's see. It might sound a bit odd for me to be saying this as we watch the yellow jersey lift it. I think Jonas Vingegaard is going by the textbook here. Last man peels off, and he goes. Guerrero's got nothing. No, I don't think he's got anything left. That is 2K to go. So our ticker is a little bit ahead. We're about 600 metres out here. One man who isn't, though, is heading onto the gravel. It's really rough up here, just like yesterday. Not quite the cobbles that we had on the ascent of Monte Trega, but it's exactly the same scenario that the defending Tour de France champion is going. He's watched Tadej Pogacar win multiple stages of the Ruta del Sol last week, and I was saying at the time, I wonder what Jonas Vingegaard thinks about this. Well, it turns out, as I said yesterday, he's looked at Pogacar, maybe, or maybe he hasn't, and said, anything you can do, I can do just as well, and he's riding away from the field.
What an amazing piece of road up on this ridge, but Wouter did a great job taking them majority of the way up the climb into that headwind, and like I said, as soon as we turned left and picked up that tailwind again, Vingegaard just went, launched it, and just like yesterday, nobody could go with that initial attack. However, John Nizagira just holding that gap ever so slightly. We see some dodgy.
I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick in a minute. I think that's the... As we see some dodgy camera work. We saw a drone flying over the finish yesterday. Never got to see any pictures from it. I take it did work today, but I think the batteries just died.
We see really steep section there for Vingegaard. Just looking round once again, but almost the same as yesterday. The gap is going out ever so slightly now on this steeper section, but that initial attack, just no one can go with it. No one can respond.
What a shot. I love it. The pixelation is atrocious, but I love the view over Vingegaard. Let's hope that drone stays in the air. I'm not sure what it's balanced on, but dearie me, it's making me feel quite ill. There it is in the background. Someone grab it before it drops out of the sky. I love the fact that our local production team have been playing around with that technology. It's... well, bouncy, if nothing else. There's an awful lot of smoke further up the climb here, I can see as well. I think they're climbing into something which is going to be a pretty epic Galician climb. Look at this. This is befitting of the Queen stage, no doubt about it. It might have been shortened in Orense, but this is starting to look like a classic mountain moment. Look at that, above 20% for Jonas Vingegaard. He's really being made to work for this one. Ruben Guerrero, what's he got left?
They're still very much doing the steepest sections and the hardest parts of this final climb. So we see how steep it is. The crowd really getting behind the riders, lighting those flares next to the riders. I'm sure they won't appreciate having to inhale that smoke on these steep sections. But Vingegaard spinning quite nicely on this section. Really steep pitches, one of the hardest climbs.
You're seeing from the terrain around you, these are still completely scorched terrain from those awful wildfires that Galicia had to endure last summer. You can see it in the shots there. It's like a lunar landscape up here, but only as a result of the atrocious fires which befell this region last summer. This is a celebration of the comeback. This is a celebration of the glorious countryside of Galicia. And what we're watching right now is a cycling celebration of Jonas Vingegaard, who is once again riding away from this field. It could be argued, and I've seen it argued, but the strength in depth of this field is not quite the same as the route at El Sol last year. But he's riding away through some very, very good riders. Ruben Guerrero here had no answer to it, and it does look like Jonas Aguirre is going to be the best of the rest. Sorry, the Spaniard riding for Cofidis, the French team, but they are chasing one man in the yellow jersey who's riding away with this one. He has 1 kilometre to go in really quite epic mountain terrain here in amongst the valleys of the Val d'Oras. It's been a brilliant finale, this, to a shortened stage. And once again, one man is proving himself to be that much better than the others when it comes down to it. He has to take his hat off to the Hungarian, though, who did all the work in the lead up to it, Attila Valter. Great final drive by him, and another really technical run-in.
Very much through the steepest pitches of this climb, but yeah, danger not gone yet. Just every corner, really bad surface, rain kind of running down across that corner. So we see, just got to stay up right now. Some of those corners really tightened up on him, but taking, no risks, and slowing down for those corners, and
the drone
in the way again.
Wow.
Just making his way through this small village now, not far to the finish now.
I have to say, I've never seen shots like this before in my life, and I know drones are something which are increasing and we're seeing more of in our great sport. It certainly adds another element to it, and this is one of the most technical narrow final kilometres I can remember for a long time. Of course, it would never have been the final kilometre before because we were due to finish another 3k up this climb, but it's proving itself a really valid finale. This is a moved finish line, and the people of the village we're climbing up through here are going to be really proud of having this great Galician race, the Gran Camino, come here, and one of the greatest bike riders on earth right now, the defending Tour de France champion, back in yellow right at the beginning of the year. It's still February, and yet he's in yellow and he's riding away from this field. He looks so good.
I think that's where the cars turn left, so not far from the finish now as we enter the barriered section. About 300 metres to go right now, so it should level off ever so slightly and should bring this one in. But interesting to see the time gap by the finish. I feel as though someone behind could have taken a few more risks through those corners. 250 metres to go, should plateau with around 200 metres to go. Looks round once again.
Well, once again, for the second day in a row, it's going to be the Great Dane on top again, the defending Tour de France champion, Jonas Vingegaard, go. And he's been dispatched by Attila Valter, and go was exactly what he did. It was textbook. Valter swung out, and Vingegaard said, right, I'm going to do what I do now. And once again, for the second day in a row, Cofidis, Jonas Aguirre, Ruben Guerrero had no answer to the acceleration of this man, who for the second day in a row proves himself to be the best.
Wow, What a final climb that was. The steep pitches, the really bad road surface made for some great racing as we've seen riders come in. Not huge gaps once again though. Guerrero coming up here. Is he going to take second place as he's got the better of Izaguirre perhaps, but only round about 20 seconds by the time he gets to that line, so 21 seconds maybe.
Yeah, it does look like. Here comes Izaguirre must have dropped there. This is Jesus Herrada coming in, and he's being beaten by Attila Valter. I think we might have missed. Valter's taking, I think, third there on the stage, because I'm pretty certain Jonas Aguirre we've missed coming in, unless he's lost all sorts of places there as well. That looks like Ruben Fernandez coming in as well. So very similar finishing riders as yesterday. This is Langelotti as well, the Monegasque rider for Burgos Biache. We're going to see almost exactly the same top 5 or 6 as yesterday. Lucas Neruka coming in, the young Brit. I think today's top 10 is going to be almost exactly the same as yesterday, Ian. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think kind of ended up with similar riders at the front from a similar sort of finish, those really steep pitches. It just kept going on and on and on. Imagine they had another 3 kilometres to go of that. Oh, no, it did get slightly easier, but yeah, Mark Donovan coming in there across that finish line, having been in the break all day. But interesting to see if Izagirre did hold on to second, because if he was in that gap, he certainly was under 10 seconds behind.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We did not see him come across, unless I missed it. I don't think either of us saw him come across the line. So if we did, folks, home, if you saw it, then Ian and I were probably looking each other in the eye at the time, because we both missed it. And that is strange, because Izagirre certainly looked the best of the rest, although in the end, Ruben Guerrero finishing really strong. Another brilliant finale in Gran Camino. This race of the Great Road is certainly finding some great roads. Epic riding terrain in Galicia. Another day of freezing cold temperatures in February. I guess it's kind of what you'd expect of springtime, but we've come to enjoy some nice warm temperatures in the last few weeks of watching pro bike racing since the turn of the new year. And don't forget, this is such a big weekend for racing here at the home of cycling on Eurosport GCN. You will already, some of you, I suspect, have seen the Omloop Het Nieuwsblad for the men. The women's race is going on, I think, as we speak, in actual fact. So if you're watching this back in later on the GCN app, then don't forget you can catch all of that right here at the home of cycling. And of course, the GCN app is the best way to do that, because you can choose exactly how and when you watch it.
There's Izagirre, he's been down.
Gosh, yes, he has.
So we hadn't missed him. He's just gone down, probably taking a few risks on those final really dodgy corners. Looks like he's completely come off the road and ended up covered in mud down the right-hand side. So probably a right-hand corner where he's gone down. We saw there's some really dodgy corners in that last kind of 1.5, 2 kilometres when it finally flattened out. Vingegaard didn't take any risks at all, really slowed down for every single one. We saw dampness on top of the road. We'd spoken earlier in the stage when the road's just damp and not fully wet, it can be really slippy. But yeah, so that means Ruben Guerrero was second on the stage, 21 seconds back. Valter ended up still taking third place, 35 seconds back. And the first Cofidis rider was actually Jesus Herrada in the end, in fourth place, 36 seconds back. So all changed there towards the end.
And that is a great shame for Jon Izagirre. He was looking good, actually. And I thought at one point, as we looked down on it was actually around about where we got the first drone shot. I wondered whether he might be closing in a little bit on Jonas Vingegaard, but he didn't, and that is why. So we didn't see it. It must have been in amongst those high buildings there, the houses and what have you, as they came through the village. That didn't look easy by any means. That looked hard, particularly on that long, steep section as well. And Vingegaard yesterday after the finish said how hard it was. Has he got a newspaper down his top or something there? I think he's got some extra layers on underneath there. I thought he'd gone super old school and picked up a newspaper, stuffed it down the jersey.
Potentially. It was brutally cold conditions early in the stage when they were up around 700-800 metres in height and the snow all around them, riding in the low cloud and mist. But yeah, Izagirre there looks in some pain. Looks like he's gone down hard, cut his arm warmers, a little bit of blood coming through there. So yeah, never good to see. There's his bike on left lever all bashed in, so looks like he's gone down heavily.
He is another one of the super bent-in levers riders as well, Jon Izagirre, which is odd because he's not one of the youngsters. It's normally the youngsters who ride with the really bent-in levers, but he does do that. It looks like he's in quite a bit of pain as well. He'll have had that big hit of adrenaline because he was in second place anyway. Such an experienced rider. It won't be the first time he's been through something like this, Izagirre, but that doesn't make it hurt any less. It's almost as if the pain is now coming on now that the adrenaline is wearing off. Very
much so. You just, in that race situation, very often just jump back on, and your initial thought is, as long as everything's moving and not too bad, you just want to get back on your bike and get to that finish line. And it's only once you finish a stage that that pain really begins to set in. You begin to stiffen up, especially on the bus back to the hotel. A little bit of treatment in the evening, and then probably not the greatest night's sleep coming up for him.
What a ride by Attila Valter, hanging on for third place. But Jonas Vingegaard gets his second stage win, and he's won every stage, therefore, of the Gran Camino so far after stage one was nullified. Ruben Guerrero in second, ahead of Jesus Herrada in fourth. Lorenzo Fortunato in 5th, Ruben Fernandez, the 4th place finisher from last year, in 6th. I need to compare that to yesterday's finish because it's almost exactly the same result.